stages, we put more of the burden and independent learning to free mom up so that we remove that friction point. We actually have a faith builder guarantee. If the faith of your child doesn't grow while using our curriculum, we'll give you your money back. Kate Loop does a fantastic job of conveying that math is the language of God and it's what he uses to bring order to the universe. And as we study math, we learn about the consistency and the faithfulness of God. Welcome to Master Books Question and Answer. I'm here with Brittany, the publicist, and also my daughter here.
Hi.
Well, you're the publicist at Master Books, but you're my daughter all the time.
I'm just his daughter here.
Not just my Master Books daughter. So we have some questions we're going to go on. Hopefully Facebook works. Facebook has actually changed the game for us today and said that it wouldn't allow us to record from our big screen. So if something happens in Facebook, be sure to jump over to the app. We're broadcasting in the app as well. So, all right.
Well, hey, everybody jumping in, leaving comments. I see Jess is always the first person to comment in the app.
Thank you, Jess. Jess, faithful app follower.
Yes.
A FAP.
A FAP.
No, FAF. A FAF. FAF. Faithful app follower.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Jess.
Jess is a FAP. How about everybody else jumping in too? All right, we'll jump into the questions. Kimberly asked, can we have a book club in the app to discuss books like Pitch and a Fit or Raising Them Up?
Yes, we're talking about it. That's something I think we can do. We're just looking at the right book to do. So, yes. Desiree Roderick is in the group. She's one of the coaches. I think she's asked to head up the group, right, Desiree? And Anna asked me about a couple of books, so looking to get that moving forward.
One down, bunch to go. Elizabeth said, how could you use elementary geography as a morning basket?
Good question.
It's a great question.
I would just do a little bit at a time. Break it up, like use the schedule, and maybe just do the reading. Don't do the teacher guide. Just do what's suggested for reading and talk about it, or use that as a little bit, the teacher guide as kind of some prompts, but do it a little bit more informally.
I just wanted to say some highs in the Facebook quick. Hi Melissa Cap, Amanda, Emily, and Emily says hi from Jack, Ellie, and Ivy. So the kids are watching along too. Jen.
I will behave myself.
Yes, please. Heather said good afternoon from Wisconsin.
Jeez. Do you know that Wisconsin produces, there's one cow for every 5 people? Do you know that Wisconsin has like more than 1 million pounds of cheese?
Well, now you do.
I just actually did a whole thing on cheese for Wisconsin.
Why?
Star Spangled Banner book. We found a 250-page teacher guide, and so we've been going through and cleaning it. And every now and then.
A teacher guide?
Well, it's like a student book, activity book. That's in it, and it's like I think it's a free download right now. So that's kind of a neat little book, actually. So.
Do you have any fun facts about Italy? Stephanie's from Italy. She said hi from Italy.
I don't. We found out Kristen's Italian. Pretty much, she has some Italian in her. That's a fun fact.
Now you know. A bunch of people from the app. Hi from Canada, Virginia.
Hey.
Indiana. Hey, mate.
Hey. Not a mate. Canada would be
mate is Australian.
We grew up in Buffalo, New York.
Hey.
And which is close to Ontario, Niagara Falls, Canada, Toronto. So we had a lot of Canadian influence, eh?
Hey.
Hey.
Hey, Carrie said, first time Master Books user, got the Math 4 book. Seems like little amount of problems and not much review. Is this a supplement book or full curriculum? Do I need to add worksheets?
It's a full curriculum.
Hey.
Hey, full curriculum, eh? We don't believe in drill and kill. There's a different, I am actually starting to talk a little bit. Now I don't know what
You sound like Irish.
Sound like an elf.
Irish/Canadian.
Lucky Charms.
Uh,
It's magically delicious. There is a.
that was incredible.
There was. Now I'm completely gone.
That's gonna be a gif.
Math 4. Yeah. So you got to know what curriculum was developed for. A lot of curriculums were developed for a classroom where a teacher gives busy work, and they use a lot of repetition. The Math Lessons for Living Education uses much more of an applied math approach. They use it's more learning math in context, being able to understand why you're doing the math you're doing. Doesn't require as much drill and kill because it's a holistic approach to teaching mathematics. We do have practice makes perfect packs that are coming. Some kids could use a little extra practice. Some parents could use a little extra practice, which means basically they're more comfortable if the students are having to do a little bit more work. But I think if you look through here or you ask that question, if you do, is Master Books enough? In the group, do a search for that. You will find so many responses to people. And one of the ones I love that was just like last week or a couple weeks ago was, I had such a hard time trusting the process, but then I am so happy that I did, because as soon as I trusted the process, it was phenomenal. So, and the student retention is up, the students aren't fighting on it, and it's much more manageable. So I understand, especially when you're starting Math 4, because like the first 10 lessons or so are reviews. So you're like, well, this is just so easy, and he's blowing through it. Just let it go, and he'll catch up to a place where it starts to slow down a little bit and begin to get a little more difficult. With Math Lessons for Living Education, if you're at a spot where you're like, they're not learning, but I feel like they should have, I would want to make sure that you did the placement test. A lot of people think it's okay to skip the readiness test. Math Lessons for Living Education is a level-based system, not a grade-based system. So book 4, what you want to make sure is that he's prepared to go into level 4. If he didn't get all of the instruction, it was expected that he learn that content in level 3. And so sometimes people will even go back a level, and even though they say, well, maybe it would be too easy, it builds confidence and reinforces the skills, and they do it much quicker. So there's a lot of videos on the Math Lessons for Living Education. There's a lot of good content as well. But even if you posted a question, I know you would get some excellent feedback. Math Lessons for Living Education now has been, it was published before I came into Master Books by another publisher. We picked it up, and I think it's probably now been on the market about 4 years. So we have some really good results. We have like proof now that it works, and students' test scores are coming back above grade average and on par, and students that were struggling are catching up and doing better. So very kind of a long-winded answer to yes, it is enough in its current form, but you'll be able to fatten it up a little bit if you want to.
Yeah, we have people jumping in on the
Thicken,
comments saying that they've used it and it's enough too.
Good.
Stephanie in the live stream asked, how old is Master Books? I just learned about you guys in the past few months. It's actually a big year for Master Books because we are how old?
45. We celebrate 45 years. Yes. Master Books was started in 1975, so that would be 45 years. Yes. And it was started by Henry Morris and Timothy LaHaye. Henry Morris is he wrote a book called The Genesis Flood. He was one of the first biblical apologetics scientists that really began saying, no, the Bible can be trusted. The geology supports the biblical chronology of the creation and of the flood. And so he started the movement that really began pointing people to the Bible is true and can be trusted. The flood existed. It's not all some stories, it's fact. And the more we look at the evidence, the more we see that. And so for a number of years, Master Books has been publishing apologetics. We publish books by Ken Ham, Henry Morris's books, of course. We publish a lot of Jason Lisle, Dr. Jason Lisle, a lot of Christian scientists that support the biblical account of creation, the age of the earth, and the Genesis flood. And we've always been kind of friendly in the homeschool market. So a lot of people would come up to us and say, I've never heard of Master Books. And then they go and look at their bookshelves, and there's that little MB logo on the bottom of a ton of their books in their bookshelf. In fact, we have three imprints actually, but two imprints. One is New Leaf Press, NLP, and then the other is Master Books. Because we've been publishing books for 45 years, you'd be amazed at how many bookshelves we actually are on. But if you think about it, if you ask me my favorite book, right? My favorite business book, Persuasion. I can't tell you who the publisher was. And so in the trade industry, we're like that. We publish books and people remember those books by titles. In the curriculum market, people remember you more by the name of the curriculum, by Master Books, by the publisher. So we've been seriously publishing curriculum since 2012. I say that, but we've also purchased a number of curriculum, like Writing Strands, that's probably 30 years old in the homeschool community. We've updated it for today's homeschoolers and have been selling that. Jensen's is another one that's been around forever. Jacob's Math has been teaching students for algebra and geometry for over 30 years. I mean, it's a classroom standard that we even have charter schools that will buy that to use it because it's so solid. So we're in the process of writing new. We also buy companies that just had kind of lost their momentum, or maybe their owners had passed away or retired. And we just bought Knowledge Quest, and so we'll be bringing life to the Knowledge Quest line. I'm excited about that one. So yeah, we've been publishing for 45 years, and we are just getting started.
Lori said, yay, first time catching live on the app. So happy to be here.
Hey, Lori.
We are so excited you are here.
Thank you for joining the app. We love the app is so awesome because it's just a whole different environment. And if you're in Facebook and you're wondering, like, why should I use the app? We've added some things, right? So sometimes we get people who will say, well, I don't like that we can't discuss my kids like skateboarding. Well, we have a group in the app called the Chit Chat group. And so you can actually go in the Chit Chat group and talk with other Master Books families, just chit chat. It's not as strict as it is in the Moms of Master Books because we have multiple feeds. So we have feeds for high schoolers, feeds for junior high, feeds for elementary. We have a chapel where the people pray. And the people who are in there that are praying, I'm telling you, if I needed prayer requests, that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to go and ask those people because I've been prayed out of situations by that group of people. And so the chapel is awesome. We even have somebody assigned as a chaplain, Jennifer White, who wrote Prayers for New Brides and has a ministry of prayer. So there's a lot of, as the app continues to grow and develop, I'm really excited about it. And they've told me too that they're going to update the live stream, so we should have even a better quality live stream. And I'm hoping for some additional capacity. So, okay, I got off on that.
Awesome. Hi, Vicky from Missouri. I actually talked to Vicky earlier today. She is our standard for fashion, official fashion terms. Because your blouse the other week with the blouses.
Yes, yes. We're wearing heavy blouses today because in Arkansas it's like 45 degrees. It hasn't been this cold. Last night they said since like 1914.
It's insane. We're over it. Hi, though. Heather said, right brain flashcards, are they better for left brain thinkers as well, or would it be better to use the traditional ones with the answers on the back? And how do you know if your child is right brain or a left brain thinker?
That's a good question. I don't know that I have the full answer for you, except I would say that both parts of the brain function. We tend to, like if you do a drill where you take a sentence with the letters all scrambled, but the words are like all the letters are in the word, you can actually correct the entire sentence because your brain does the right brain and it corrects the spelling, and so your brain doesn't even really see the mistakes. That's why editing books can be so difficult. So I think I would recommend you growth hack it a little bit and try both. Use right brain flashcards, try it with the regular flashcards. Do they enjoy do they actually fill in the blank when it's not there? I don't think it's one or the other. I think more of a holistic approach is they may favor one a little bit, but it doesn't hurt to develop one or the other.
We're calling them sweat blouses.
Sweat blouses. I have a sweat blouse.
Let's see. Aniston said...
It is hot in this room under the light. I don't know why.
It is.
It's cold across... Our offices are across the hall, and it's freezing in there.
Yeah, and here it's really hot. I don't know why that is. Aniston said, hello, I love the cow photo is still there. I know, we put it up as a joke in a couple lives ago, and then he's
but
like...
I missed it.
I went to like put it back, and he's like, no, I actually kind of missed the cow photo, so it's back.
Yep.
Aniston said, is it possible Master Books will offer the triangle-shaped math back cards as an option in the future?
The multiplication triangle ones are available now on the website. So yes, you can buy those at masterbooks.com. You can buy them and print them off yourself, or we sell the physical.
So Michelle says she's tuning in. I will be a first-time homeschooling mom for 2nd grade, and I'm interested in this curriculum and trying to gain information to persuade my counterpart why this is the one. Also need recommendations for 2nd grade books. Do I go with the bundle only or add it? And if so, what do I add?
Men love Master Books Curriculum. Why? Because Master Books Curriculum makes their wives happy. And when a wife is happy, a man is happy. And so that's one of the best-selling features of Master Books. Seriously. Let me give a backstory to that. We've dealt with thousands of families with homeschool curriculum. And oftentimes, there's this place where mom starts to act a little crazy, and everybody begins to think she's crazy. Maybe she's even melting down, crying a lot. Her kids are beginning to not like her. There's a lot of tension in the home. Dad is a fixer. Dad comes into the situation and says, I need to fix this. Couple of things we're going to do. Number one, I may put him back in public school. That's not good. So we want to avoid that. Number two, I'll have my mom homeschool. That's even worse. So having mother-in-law homeschool is something we don't want to happen in a marriage either. So what we do is create a curriculum that's easier for mom to teach because we remove the friction points. What does that mean? If you have a curriculum that was designed for a school, it needs a teacher, right? That's how schools are designed, except for some exceptions like ACE School of Tomorrow or Monarch, which is meant for a computer. Otherwise, you're looking at curriculum like a Nebeco or BJU or those curriculums that are designed for a teacher. Well, when you're beginning to teach, it's hard to give that much attention, an hour of teaching instruction per course. So what we do is, as the student ages, we put more of the burden and independent learning to free mom up so that we remove that friction point. I know I was joking a little bit about one reason why dads should want this curriculum.
Well, no, everybody's agreeing with
But I do think that there are so many times that we've seen families like they're about ready to give up, put the kids back in school. Mom feels like a failure. She feels the shame, all of that. Dad feels he needs to fix it, and the only way he knows how to fix it is put him in public school because it seemed like everything was better. So when you have a curriculum that works, then mom has that pressure off from her, and so it frees up a lot. And I think that that's a huge thing. Beyond that, faith-based. We are not just in name. We don't say we're just a Christian curriculum and throw a scripture verse up. We actually have a faith builder guarantee. If the faith of your child doesn't grow while using our curriculum, we'll give you your money back. Why do we do that? Because we know that when you point to the truth of God's word and you look at the evidence through the worldview of a biblical worldview, all you see is the Creator. You can't help but see the Creator. Mount St. Helens, 40 years ago, I can't even believe, I remember still sitting in the dentist office looking at a magazine with the explosion pictures of Mount St. Helens. What an amazing testament to the truth of God's word. Today we had a flash sale that kind of honored that eruption, and it's amazing. There's a DVD out about Mount St. Helens from a creation perspective, and you just see how within a few hours, within a few days, the catastrophe. We have standing fossils. We have caves or major canyons formed. We have sediment layers, we have fossilization. All of this stuff happens with Mount St. Helens. When you look at that evidence, I mean, I remember watching the DVD and my faith just exploded, because if the truth of God's word, if everything we see, like we went to the Grand Canyon last year, it was amazing, right? You walked up to it and there's this scar ripped through the earth, and it's a holy moment. Like, it's almost like one of those take your shoes off, because this is God's judgment. Like, you just see what judgment looks like in this massive scar, and when you see that and you experience it and you say, yes, this is the result of the flood, which came about because of the sin of man. And because I can look at that and I can believe fully that God's word is truth, then in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth becomes true. And when that comes true, then when he says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Wow, the truth all comes alive. So when we're talking about curriculum, it's everywhere. Kate Loop does Kate Loop Hannon does a fantastic job of conveying that math is the language of God, and it's what he uses to bring order to the universe. And as we study math, we learn about the consistency and the faithfulness of God. 2 + 2 = 4. It does. It always does. In the same way that when God says, for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. We can count on his word, because that's his character and his nature.
What was the name of the DVD about Mount St. Helens? Carrie asked.
I'm not sure.
Then jumping in, some feedback from other moms said, Aniston said, my husband said that is so true. He loves Master Books because it makes mom happy. She said, my husband told me for months to go back to Master Books because we had less stressful days.
Go husband.
Apollonia said, my husband said he'd never seen me so happy. He said, I have not mentioned public school since March, LOL. Carrie said, my husband's #1 comment every year when we talk homeschool plan for the next year, get what saves you time. Aniston said, I'd vent to my husband in the evenings about our day and he keep pushing Master Books. He was right. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you for commenting that, because that's awesome.
All right, next question. What children's book would you recommend for a 3rd and 1st grader to read along with language lessons curriculum? I'll be using level 1 and 3.
Well, Language Lessons has its own recommended books. So in Language Lessons 1, there's the set, like Charlie and Trike, not too small at all. And is it the Special Door? Or is that the name? No, we changed the name. But that one. Level 3 has the 101 Bible Stories. Mm-hmm. Those are both awesome read-alongs. I know we have some other young readers that you could get, like Remarkable Rescue. What's the marriage one?
The Best Plan.
The Very Best Plan. Yeah, we have that. We have When I See a Rainbow, When I See a Star. Mm-hmm. We have a number of young children's books, and many more to come, hopefully. Moida001 in the app said, as a first-time mom who will be homeschooling, do I need to add anything else for my kindergartner other than the Basics K set? No. Basics K, and you can do Math K. So Basics K would be 3 days a week, or the Simply K would be 3 days a week, and then do the math, which is 5 days a week. They're very short lessons, just enough to kind of build skills, but it's more of a holistic approach, developmental approach. It's not an academic approach. There's been some videos that I've done recently on that, on not pushing children too soon, and the science backs that when you push kids too soon, academic rigorous in kindergarten, 1st, 2nd grade actually can be detrimental in 5th, 6th, and 7th grade.
Elizabeth is jumping in late. Hi, we're welcoming you.
Welcome, Elizabeth, welcome.
We're glad you're here.
Yes.
Desiree said the name of the book is called Door of Salvation.
Door of Salvation. Thank you, Desiree.
Yeah, she's helping out in the comments. We appreciate that.
We do.
Brittany said,
I love it when the moderators know more than me and actually are helpful.
In the comments. Okay, Vicky said, how do you make copywork easier? My 9-year-old goes crazy every time we need to do copywork.
Yeah, so Copywork, we think about Copywork as a brain builder. Copywork isn't just busy work. Copywork is actually a skill. I'm looking at a page and I'm seeing it, then I have to memorize what it's saying, transfer it over and write it down. Like that's a lot of processes. Break that down, right? Looking at something, reading it, memorizing it, transferring it, and physically having to write that. That's why copywork is so intense, and why they may not like it is sometimes because they don't have all those skills. So it gets frustrating. Now sometimes it's boring, and I get that. You don't have to do as much, but judge it based on what's happening with the brain. When they're looking at it and memorizing it, can they look at it, memorize it, and tell you what it said? Can they do, how many words can they remember when they come over? Sometimes it's letter by letter because they're still struggling to remember how the word is spelled. And so if you've got an entire sentence and the student is struggling with brain memory, then they're having to go back every single time, and that's a taxing thing. So maybe build up to it. Just do a little bit at a time and build on it.
Summer asks, when will the USA Atlas be available to order?
It should be available probably 4 weeks. June. I actually just saw the first preview copy come into the building, and I think it's on a container on its way to the U.S.
Awesome. Some feedback from Jennifer in the Facebook Live. She said, this summer will make 2 years that my family has used Master Books. During this time, 5 other families have started using Master Books due to the impact it has made on us, combined with the incredible curriculum that it is. I think that speaks volumes. Keep doing what you are doing. God is faithful.
Thank you. And may I say, it was Jennifer, right?
Yep.
Thank you, Jennifer, for sharing with other families. One of the best compliments we can have is not when people use us because they saw an ad in a magazine or me talking, but when a mom is using it successfully and shares it with another mom. And so this tribe that we're part of, you guys are amazing. And all of the success we have, which is powering more growth and more products, is because of you guys and the fact that you share Master Books and what you're doing with each other and with your friends.
Awesome. Aaron said, please tell us more about Adventures in Creation, Physical World. My oldest is using God's Design Physical World next year, and I'm wondering if he can use Adventures in Creation version to sort of go along with the God's Design course. I understand they won't exactly line up, wondering how similar topics will be.
Yeah, I would probably choose one or the other. I mean, you could do both, right? But I think you're probably, the format and the style is going to be enough that I don't think I would try to use them together in tandem. But you know, you could do one as a morning basket, or you could double up and do one semester, the other the second semester. They definitely weren't written to go together. They were written with 2 different perspectives. We already had a God's Design for Beginners, so Let's Talk Science is a little bit different of an approach.
Mm-hmm. When will the Adventures in Creation Physical Science level 2 be available for purchase? It was out of stock last time I checked. Can this be done independently from Adventures in Creation, or is it meant to follow it?
It can be done independently. There is no prerequisite. It should be available, I'm hoping, the end of June or July. I know it's moving quite quickly now through design. So my hopes is it'll be probably the beginning of July. We were hoping for earlier, but the virus thing kind of messed up all of the schedules.
Right. Lacey said, did you ever have the video telling about how level 1 of language lessons, I'm thinking, and foundation phonics come together? We are 3/4 the way through foundation phonics. I know Christian is understandably in isolation, but I wanted to make sure I didn't miss that one. My oldest used a different curriculum that didn't work for my youngest, who loves foundation phonics. My oldest started straight in level 2, so I don't have experience with basic language skills or level 1.
Yeah, well, it's meant to go together. I don't think we've actually done a video where we sat down and talked about it. Kristen and I need to plan a date night to the cabin, and we actually were blessed to purchase a cabin in the middle of the Ozarks, in the middle of the woods, right? It's like this real pretty, like, can't see anything except mountains and birds, and it's really neat. Well, when we were walking there, we said, boy, if only we could find the internet, because then we could actually go and do videos from it. And somehow in the middle of the woods, it has a fiber optic connection. So we should just go do videos with Mom at the cabin. So it's a good topic. We will look at doing that.
Can you tell us what the plans are for online schooling and your amazing books? We got a few comments on that one. Will it be for all subjects, for all grades?
So Master Books Academy, it's actually, if you type in Master Books Academy, you should be able to see the landing page. Feel free to go and register. Let us know what you think. We have 2 courses that are on it, Principles of Math 1 and Principles of Math 2. If you're using those courses, we're using that with our son. Love it. He doesn't need it for every chapter, but when he does, Kate does a great job of explaining it. Master Books Academy is not designed to copy online schools or that type of thing. It's meant to help remove friction points and make you more successful. Sometimes when you're doing a course, there's just these little things like, I just need a little more instruction. My student needs to hear somebody else but me explain it. Maybe you just need help reading, right? Like every week there's a lot of reading in the lower grades. And so we started with the 2 courses. I think we also have a course, Stressed Out by Todd Friel, is online. So you can watch those DVDs. And we're experimenting with bringing some more online. It will have a combination. Some will be the actual authors will be doing the videos. In other cases, it'll be parent-led, and it will be a way for you to just help you be more successful with teaching the courses. We want the courses to be affordable. We don't want to charge $500. We want it to learn at your own pace. So no matter when in the year you decide to purchase and sign in, you have access to the course, and you have access to it for a year. I know Kate is also doing an Algebra 2, and then I believe she's going to go back and do Algebra 1 and Geometry. We're talking with the other authors, and hopefully we'll have more courses coming online pretty quickly. So, yeah, that's where we're starting. The other neat thing about this is there's also a community in there. So there's a social side to it. So it's almost like a virtual co-op. Once you've registered and you're into the Master Books Academy, you have access to being able to talk with other students and that. Something else we did, I haven't gotten the official yet, but you actually designed some t-shirts and some merch. If it's going to be cool, merch for...
Gang sign.
Yeah, so merch, is that merch? Master Books merch.
M-E-R-C-H. Merch.
So we have some merch coming for Master Books Academy and hopefully Master Books. So that'll be hopefully this summer. I gotta follow up on that. But I know we got quotes from one of the large manufacturers, and Tim was on it. So.
Yippee! Brandy asked, will there be more God's Design for Beginner series? And Melissa asked, what's going to be released next with this funny Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory GIF?
What's going to be released next?
So first, God's Design for Beginner series. God's Design for Heaven and Earth Beginners is about to be released soon. Yep. And then as far as... World History. The color edition of World History just came in, right? And so I've actually got those books, and I'm gonna do that this week. I'll sneak in a walkthrough of World History that's in. And then we've got some really exciting stuff coming for 2021. I mean, crazy exciting. Like a high school forensics course, like health, like more Bible. I'm excited for the forensics course. I think that'll be cool.
It's
by the same person who wrote the fingerprint one, right?
Yeah.
Which one is that?
Yeah.
The work of your hand.
Yeah. Don't ask about it in the group yet, because they don't know it. Nobody knows anything about it. These are kind of just like, I'm dropping information that's like way in front of my headlights. We didn't say any of that.
This is like exclusive.
Yeah, we need to edit this.
Take it out. None of you heard that. And you use your powder.
Okay.
Anyways.
That's a tooth fairy.
The tooth fairy. Just a pinch, throw a pinch, you forget everything you just happened.
There we go.
Polonia said, can I take the class as an adult on the academy?
Yes. Yes.
What?
I have one to add too.
Okay.
I just caught a glimpse. Heather Anderson asked,
Yes.
how to get kids to understand the value of learning history? Well, we learn history all the time. When we're teaching a student to walk, we learn history. I take a step, I fall. Okay? I realize that when I took a step, I didn't have balance, so I correct myself and I walk forward. That's life. Life is learning from mistakes. It's learning from successes. In fact, something I'm being really conscious about in my life right now is saying, wait, I've learned this lesson, or I should have learned this lesson a couple of times in my past. So rather than continuing to make the same mistake I've always made, let me do it differently here and learn from what I've done. Well, history gives us the opportunity to learn from others' success and failures. What made a man? What did he do that made him successful? What did he do that made him a failure? What did he do that brought blessing to his family? What did he do that brought curses on his family? What did nations do when they stepped away from God versus nations who drew near to God? As we look at history, it teaches us. It's the purpose of learning history isn't just punishment. It's to actually learn how to conduct ourselves in the present. We learn that you don't treat other men like animals, and you don't make them do work for you like an animal and beat them and abuse them, because that's not the way. It doesn't end well. There's pain and suffering that comes from that. And so we believe all men are created equal, and we move in that direction. I mean, there's so much to be learned from history, but we've got to look at it from, what do we learn from this that helps us today? And I think when you talk about history, that's the spot of helping them, is asking them. This is great. We just learned about George Washington. You know, I love the story where he has 5 bullet holes through his coat, and he's one of the few men still standing that didn't get shot. What do we learn about that today? Well, we learn about something. He also provides his hand of protection for the time period that he's called you. And so there's so much that we can learn to step into that providence. Hope that's helpful.
Cool. Irina said, I'm already hyped up about the virtual academy. Kids gonna love it. I see Irina's name a lot in here. We appreciate that you jump in here and comment on stuff.
Yes.
Join in the conversation.
Yes. Thank you.
Mindy said, I just got here. Can you talk about morning baskets? First off, welcome. How did you use them in your own homeschool? What is the goal with them?
We didn't really use morning baskets. Morning baskets are something that was introduced to me by Anna W., who is one of the lead moderators in the app. And I know that it's used in the homeschool movement. It's more of it's like devotions. It's pick a book, have a discussion, go through a series of books, just read together as a family, grow as a family. I think they're awesome. I think it's awesome. It's not something you have to do. It's just, if that's something that you would enjoy, grab your cozies, grab your coffee, and read, or have one of the kids read. The morning basket materials we have and that we've put together are incredible. I mean, we've got some morning baskets that, like, those are the books I would gift to somebody from Master Books.
We did do something similar where we took books and read them in the evening growing up.
Yeah. So it doesn't just have to be a morning basket. It could be a family basket, really, where you could even bring Dad in and do that, because some of those memories were pretty good memories.
Yeah. Jennifer asked, will Practice Makes Perfect level 3 and 4 be available this summer?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure if it's pronounced just
If I had my way, yes.
If we all had our way, yes.
Yeah. I know that
Do we know?
this blasted virus has kind of slowed things up a little bit with some of the other projects. So my guess is you're going to see 1 and 2, possibly 3 this year, and then the balance next year.
I'm not sure if it's pronounced Jashira or Jashira, but she asked, what is a suggested reading list for 4th grade? Please let us know how to pronounce your name. Is it I or
There may be, with Master Books, there may be some recommendations that some of the moderators would have for a level 4. sometimes people get frustrated because we don't allow outside resources, and we don't have outside recommendations for books. A lot of reasons we do that, because every family, the market we serve can go from conservative to new Christian in some ways, and we want to be careful that we don't endorse any books that we haven't had time to thoroughly review and offer that suggestion. And right now, all of our energy is spent creating new material and supporting this community. Like, if you knew the amount of hours that were spent supporting the moms of Master Books and the app to make sure that we get answers and make people appreciated and everything that takes place. So reviewing other outside books just isn't something that there's time for. And I know that there are a lot of other great Facebook groups in the world that you can get recommendations from. So we know that it's something people want. It's something we want to provide. It's just a matter of the resources right now to do that.
She also said I said her name correct the first time, so pat on the back for that.
You have to do a dance. Make a pat on the back dance.
That's what it was. Maria asked, what are the plans for the future on music and art appreciation?
We love it. We don't have one right now, so yeah.
Awesome. Dodie said, practice makes perfect. What is this?
Practice makes perfect are for the parents who feel that you need a couple more practice sheets for each of the lessons and math lessons for a living education. So maybe you're doing long divisions and feel like, boy, he could use just a little bit more practice. Then the Practice Makes Perfect pack helps there. Maybe you need to build a little bit of skills that you didn't have the prior year, so instead of, you could just buy the Practice Makes Perfect pack and do that. It's an add-on to the math curriculum for those who just feel the need. Because we hear people say, I love math lessons, I think it works, but we went and printed off math sheets. Well, rather than forcing people to go print off math sheets, we just want to have a solution. Again, remove as many friction points as we can. If that's a friction point, we want to remove it.
Susan said, I don't see Master Books Academy online. Am I missing it?
MasterBooksAcademy.com. I don't have my phone.
I'll try it out. But some feedback. Heather said, I appreciate so much your dedication to this group.
Thank you.
Just said, I want to say as a new homeschool mama, another mom told me about you guys. I've only been homeschooling for 2 months, but I'm happy I chose you guys. I've been told that the third curriculum I pick will be the one that fits.
That's what I say, yeah.
I have to say you guys are my first pick, and I'm sticking with you guys. Master Books makes my kids happy, and I feel life is so much easier as I don't have to plan everything out. Master Books has done everything for me already.
Yay. That's a hard spot, okay, because we've been in the curriculum game for a long time. Over 20 years, we've sold most of the major curriculums. So I know what the pluses and the minuses are. With a new homeschool mom, sometimes there's going to be a tendency to get bored with the first curriculum and want to experiment with some of the other curriculums because you have no reference point. So sometimes when a new mom asks me, she's new to homeschooling, and she'll say, what's the best curriculum? I hate to say that we're the best first year curriculum because you'll be back. I know, you'll be back. I can write this story.
Apollonia she shared about...
But we hate to have that happen. She's trying to save me right now.
I am just trying to continue on.
Digging.
Stop digging. She shared about how her older ones have been teaching the little ones and how her oldest was scared to read, but now she's reading with confidence.
Yay. There's nothing better. You teach your child to read, man, you give them like the gift of the world, right? Because they have access to everything. That's the beauty of it.
Just asked, is American History coming in June? Did you talk on that?
American History, yeah. American History, I believe, is being uploaded to the printer. It's in the beta group today. It's being uploaded to the printer at the end of the week, and should be 3-4 weeks.
Elizabeth said, I'm excited to start using Master Books for all our homeschooling next year. The way you describe the learning process is how I've always tried to homeschool. By the way, the first time I heard you reference Finland, I knew Master Books was for us. I wonder, are you from Finland? I'm curious now. What was the Academy website? Okay.
MasterBooksAcademy.com.
MasterBooksAcademy.com.
Yep.
Alrighty, I'm just checking the Facebook comments really quick, and I think that's it.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we hope as things lighten up and your families are able to get out and all that you guys, we just pray the Lord's protection and His blessing, and we pray that as we go into the next school year, we're excited. You know, we have put a lot into, I've explained in the past about when you're developing new curriculum, the editing process, errors and typos in books. I know in the last year there have been massive efforts to go through existing products. Math Lessons for a Living Education and Writing Strands were two big endeavors that we've gone through. Writing Strands just to make it easier and a little bit more fluid in the teaching, and so those have been updated. The Math Lessons for a Living Education, I know that's been updated, so the reprints of that are being are coming out in awesome shape. So yeah, I think we use the term growth hacking a lot, but we're growth hacking ourselves all the time. So, you know, one of the things that I used to say when I pastored was to the churches, we have room for growth and we give you room for growth. And so when we keep that mentality that we're not perfect and we're not claiming to be perfect, we're working hard to grow to be better, then that gives us all permission to listen to each other and then work to understand, okay, how can we make these products better and remove friction points? Sometimes it's just a matter of, like with Math Lessons for a Living Education, it wasn't a matter of making it more difficult so that we could say we can compete with such and such a curriculum. It was doing a better job of explaining the educational approach. And so it's just listening to you guys and trying to know how we serve you better and equip you to do what you're called to do, which is world changers. And man, the stage is being set, right? I can't, your kids, like, man, you're training giant slayers. So how exciting. I know it doesn't always seem it because you're wiping their nose and cleaning up after them and dealing with nonsense. But the reality is sometimes we lose sight. We need to step back and say, no, what we're doing is training giant slayers. These are the kids who are going to step into the arenas and they're going to be the ones to present the gospel to their peers and counterparts. They're going to be the ones to defend biblical authority. They're going to be the authors of books. My oldest, that we homeschooled, that we struggled with, is authoring. So she's written Foundation Phonics, which the gospel message is so present. What else? She wrote, let's talk creation, let's talk science, adventures in creation, adventures in the physical world. And like, our story isn't unique. Your kids are going to do this. Your kids are going to author books, and they're going to stand on pulpits, and they're going to stand in the street and proclaim the gospel. They're going to be the world changers. They're going to shape culture. So we applaud you and we support you, and we are praying and interceding for you.